It's refreshing to spend the entire days at the sanctuary again. The falcon chicks have been missing for a few days now, but all we can really do is hope they're okay, which I do believe they are. This raccoon, who's been dubbed Rocky, has been waiting for us every morning to bring in Dougie the barn cat's food. Dougie's also been around, so I guess they're sharing. While downtown, I've been missing the early morning bird feedings. There are plenty of cardinals and towhees hanging around. And goldfinches, among many others. But the rodents seem to hog the bird feed, especially the chipmunks and squirrels. It appears as if this male northern flicker is displaying for the female. Perhaps this could mean that they're planning a second brood this year. Although the female does seem to be showing much less interest in this. And common grackles can regularly be seen flocking together, and the same sort of snags that the flickers seem to favor. While checking our kestrel boxes, we noticed a pair of great crested flycatchers nesting in one of them. It is not an unusual place for them to nest, as they are cavity nesters. It appears that this one has a dragonfly that he will take in to feed the nestlings. The incubation of the eggs is done solely by the female, but both parents will feed the young. The incubation period lasts about 2 weeks, and then the chicks will leave the nests about 2 weeks after they are hatched, give or take a couple of days. Great crested flycatchers are known for their tendency to line their nest with soft items such as snakeskin. I am excited to find out if they actually did that when we clean out the nest boxes. They are also known to use artificial items as a substitute for snakeskin. Items such as plastic or cellophane or even onion peels. The parents will separate when they go south for the winter. However, it is likely that they will return to this exact nesting site and rekindle their relationship with each other. This flycatcher probably notices us and we are making him nervous, which is why he is not going in right away to feed his chicks. After about 4 or 5 minutes of watching, we decided to leave, and then he went in to drop off the dragonfly. When I returned to the nest a few days later, I did witness both parents taking food into the young multiple times. Out in the backwoods, on the Middle Ridge Trail, I flushed up a red-tailed hawk. When I looked in the direction of it, I noticed a family of winter wrens. This was the only one that perched openly long enough for me to get some decent footage, but there were at least 3 other fledglings and a parent. I hear the adults fairly frequently, but this is the best look I've ever gotten at a wren. I return to this same spot every day, but never saw them again. Over at the beaver pond, belted kingfishers can regularly be seen, although they don't normally stay perched this still for this long. And cedar waxwings are also frequent flyers around here. And the eastern kingbirds still seem to be protecting their nest, but we still haven't seen any sign of chicks yet. And more beavers have been coming out earlier to feed. It's been one of the most enjoyable parts of the afternoon.
Three yearling. Yeah, it is good. I wonder if all 6 2-year-olds left.
There's still 2 families of ducks on Morton's Pond. They're becoming more casual around us. There's apparently a 3rd family on Secret Pond, but I still haven't seen this family yet. This family is a little bit younger, but a little bit larger. 2 weeks ago, there were 7 ducklings. Last week, I counted 6, and now this week it seems as if we're down to 5. It's likely that the missing ducklings could be explained by the presence of minks. One day, a family of about 7 minks ran into my legs. I wasn't quick enough with the camera draw to get the whole ball rolling after me, but I did get a couple stragglers, and one even came back out of hiding to sniff my feet one more time. Toward the end of the week, at the man-made pond, the red-winged blackbirds seem to be calming down enough for me to go, linger, and explore more. The surrounding willow snags seem to be a favorite perching place for many birds. And in the adjacent field, I found the remains of an old goldfinch nest. In the pond, green frogs can be heard singing this time of year. I think this one in particular is staying silent because I'm a little too close for his liking. Males are the only ones who sing. But even visually, it is easy to tell that this one is a male by the huge tympana on the side of his head. Females' tympana are much smaller, only about the size of their eyes. Widow skimmer dragonflies have made their way into our fields. They have disproportionately large wings, rendering them a slow flight. However, they are still efficient predators. This male can be distinguished from the female by the milky white lines on its wings and the bluish abdomen. Here is a female widow skimmer. This damselfly is an ebony jewel-winged female. I never got a close enough look previously to realize how much duller the body is and how the wings are almost translucent as compared to a male. This white-tailed deer fawn was probably born about a month ago. It will lose its spots by the first winter. Although the fawn will be weaned from its mother's milk after about 6 weeks from birth, it will continue to follow the mother for up to 2 years to learn everything it can about foraging and staying safe and finding shelters and whatever other life lessons it may need to learn. And here in the woods is a buck. The antlers make this obvious. He will use his antlers to spar with other bucks in order to determine a dominance hierarchy. They shed their antlers every winter, but they begin growing soon thereafter. We crossed paths with a nervous skunk one day, and that in turn made me nervous. Eastern tiger swallowtails are a very prominent butterfly throughout much of eastern North America, but not quite so much here at the sanctuary. Lepidopteran populations in general seem to be on the decline around here. We're not quite sure why, but we have speculated on a few scenarios. One may be because all the hayfields in the area have flowers in which they nectar, but are mowed too often and create an inconsistent food source. Another may be the use of pesticides. Or perhaps it is due to the increase of parasites such as the ichneumon wasps. Or maybe at the sanctuary we've created such a good habitat for birds, they are depredating on these butterflies too quickly. We're not really sure if it's any of these or a combo of everything. At any rate, it's a shame to be losing such interesting and beautiful creatures. There have been a few other lepidopterans, however, such as this skipper butterfly and this moth that was in the woods. A geometer of some sort, I believe. And an interesting caterpillar. There's no shortage of milkweed at the sanctuary, and this seems to attract insects such as the milkweed bug and ants, among many other things, such as bees and the predators of all these insects, such as the goldenrod spider. The horseflies can be quite pesky, but of course they have their place in the food chain. And it's only the females that bite, because they need our blood to help their eggs develop. And I keep finding more and more flies that mimic bees. Weevils are one of the most diverse families of insects in the world, with over 3,000 in North America alone. There are a few beetles that resemble weevils and are even dubbed that commonly, but true weevils can be distinguished by the elbowed antenna and curved rostrum. Weevils are hard-bodied and usually have grooves. Many have scales which are shed with age, rendering a high variability even within the species. Many weevils are known to feign death when they are scared. At the tip of their long curved rostrum are chewing mouth parts. Most are strict vegetarians throughout their entire life cycle. One would be hard-pressed to find a plant that was not affected by some species of weevil. Many gardeners and farmers know what notorious pests these can be. There are certainly cotton farmers of the South throughout history who can attest to this. Both common names for this insect are misnomers, firefly or lightning bug. This insect is actually a beetle. This firefly in particular is of the Photinus genus. They light up the sanctuary at night, but even during the day a few stragglers can be found. The wings of beetles line up right next to each other. Notice in these two species of true bugs how the wings line up to form an X. Last week, when the ninebark was in bloom, there was an inordinate amount of insects buzzing around it. I couldn't wait to get back there this week, but when I did, it had gone to seed and the insects had left. It was a hard lesson to be learned. However, there are some other interesting blooms right now, such as this Canada thistle, Deptford pink, black-eyed Susans, valerian, echinacea, everlasting pea, Indian hemp, pickerel weed, and this Timothy grass, which is releasing massive amounts of pollen. And the fern diversity is beginning to manifest itself. Here is some hay-scented fern, narrow-leaf spleenwort, Christmas fern, lady fern, sensitive fern, silvery spleenwort, and ostrich fern. I also noticed this interesting fungus on this rotting tree stump. And all the work we did on the native wildflower garden is really starting to pay off. And that about wraps up another exciting week at the sanctuary.